in as much as you haven't seen it, if you're a producer, please, and if you're a content lover, wait for us, we're coming. So I would let Mark talk more on the marketing side of things, how we're trying to push the brand and push the content, and everything he's doing possibly to make everybody know about River Plus. Mark, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Just for context, VOD means video on demand. SVOD means streaming on demand. And then you have TVOD, which is transactional. And then you have AVOD, which is advertising. So one of the concepts behind getting into VOD is one. Whether it's on platforms like streaming platforms like AudioMac or Spotify, the numbers are there. There's like some artists are getting as many as 1 billion. Some are averaging around 300 million. So it's showing you that there's a market for audio streaming. And audio streaming has opened the door for film. Film more so meaning Nollywood content and or Nigerian film content, whether it's music videos, whether it's comedy skits, or film. So we think that we've got, one, a competitive advantage because of the experience that we've had from 2009, two, the amount of data that we've looked at to make decisions on forecasting and moving forward, and then two, the soft power of music leading the way for the Nollywood content to be appreciated, and as I mentioned, in over 100 plus countries. So with those things combined, we're looking to market from a different perspective. What we're looking at with the platform is basically for you, by you. As she mentioned, it's Black African content or Afrocentric content. And what that means is Afro means coming from Africa, whether the content is coming from Paris, coming from Jamaica, coming from the UK, Canada, US, diaspora, whether it's Africa itself. What we want to do is to create a platform that's controlled by Nigerians. So instead of having only an outlet like your content going to cinema, I think between yesterday and today, they discussed how few cinema screens there are. With that, it limits the amount of distribution if cinema is the only route to take. The next opportunity, which a lot of folks take advantage of, is YouTube, because the content can be monetized. However, what we'd like to do is to create another alternative, which is a streaming platform, to say outside of YouTube, here's an opportunity to allow us to use our experience to expand your market globally. And with that, the streaming allows anyone to look at content on the go. All you need is a smartphone, and you need data and connectivity, and that allows you to do that. And just before I pass the mic, in terms of the globalization, what we also do is dubbing. And in the next session, I'll get a little bit more into the dubbing, but what dubbing does, it adds more life to the content that you already have. It allows you to monetize in languages like French, Swahili, etc. So we do over 7+ different languages. So there's an opportunity not only for creators to bring your content to Revel Plus to help monetize it globally, but then to also look at the opportunity as to what are the other avenues for monetizing the content through language distribution.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. So Sukumi is a consultant with Revel Plus. He comes with, you've heard him here when he spoke with FinLab, and that is talk to us about what he's doing for Revel Plus and the line of things so far.
Thank you very much, Chinwe. So one of the things that we've realized, just working as a team with Mark, and Murphy and the rest of the team, is that we've identified that there's a huge gap in the market. In terms of between TV and cinema, there's a gap, and between the streaming platforms and YouTube, for instance, there's a gap. And this gap has to do more with content and the journey of content, how, a producer makes, their film, and how does that content travel? Where does it travel to? One thing that we've not done properly in this market is to create like categories for content. What kind of content goes to the cinema? What kind of content is suitable for TV? What kind of content is suitable for YouTube? So there are producers that don't want to be labeled YouTube filmmakers. They will tell you, look, I can produce anything. There are people that will tell you that, look, I'm a cinema filmmaker. Any film I make, blockbuster, But the truth is, not everybody is Funke Akindele. Not everybody is Kunle Afolayan. And the fact that there are several genres, not just film and TV genres, there are documentaries, there are all sorts of genres from music, to local content, and there is an audience for everything. The YouTube that everyone is rushing to today was created for a purpose, and there is an approach to it. But what we've realized is that for SVOD, video on demand, there is a gap, and a lot of players have come into the field, and you see that there is a challenge in sustainability, and for us, the sustainability has to do with the guarantee for the producer. So when you hear Netflix, when you hear Amazon, what you find is more or less established producers having access, But there are established producers, but there are also independent producers. There are emerging producers. There are independent grassroots producers that are making content, but are looking for access, to showcase their work and to make money. Because at the end of the day, it's about me creating content and having a place to put it. If you find any producer now, and one of the things that we've realized in our call out is a lot of producers just running to us and saying, look, just take my film. And it's not just about just take my film. What do you get back, for giving your film to a streaming platform? There are people selling their content for as low as maybe $1,000 or $2,000, but that's not as important as developing local content and having a platform that caters to a Nigerian audience or to Nigerian producers. And one of the things that we're trying to do is how can we work with producers across board? Not just producers living in Lagos. The producers in Ibadan, there are producers in Kaduna, there are producers in Port Harcourt, creating documentaries, making films, and they need that access, they need that networking. And one of the track record for MBI is the success with YouTube. Like Mark said, is the data. And one of the things that, Murphy Ben is saying is, how can we make money for producers? I don't need to carry the tag that my film is on Netflix, but the tag I need to carry is I have made a film and I've made returns on my film. I have grown as a filmmaker, because the whole idea of making film is I make film to make another film. The other thing is engaging with these producers and saying, how can we grow together as a team? How can we work with producers to have access, to equipment? How can you have access to that kind of support, So what you find is there are a lot of, you see that TV has gone to Instagram. TV has gone to TikTok. So you find skit makers now making documentaries. And that's where the gap is. That's not supposed to be. So we at Revel Plus can be that platform that elevates that work that is just there, because those are long-form content. You can see all these Mirage doing dating shows. And when you go on ITV, you go on these more international platforms, you see that these are full-fledged content ideas that they are underdeveloped because TV literally is suffering. And streaming can be the answer. And having an indigenous platform that can cater to this variety of content and genres and working directly with producers and giving them that minimum guarantee that you can have access to a platform that cares about you, that promotes what we're doing locally, and we can also expose you internationally, is what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Sukumi. Thank you. I was going to ask a question or take up something, but that would also lead us to another long conversation. In terms of my question would have been, like when the skit makers and the guys on your phones, the movable content, why they go the route they go, I think is easier consumption. But one thing I've taken away from the talks on this summit is that traditional and digital would have to work together. Everywhere else in the world, I think is so. But the scary thing is that Nigeria is very unique. We move from 100. We can move from 100 to a 10. Nothing they teach in Harvard works here. So in as much as we say, traditional and digital might work together, it's been working in the US, it's working in London, it's working in the UK, it's working everywhere. But Nigeria we're so unique, you can't really say, that might still work. I mean, it's already happening. If you look at what's happening with Facebook, I mean, it started immediately and everybody and their grandparents are jumping on it. So, but what it says is Revel Plus is trying to, I think for MBI generally, it's always been about how to make producers money, because that's what they've been doing. That's more like the foundation of the company itself. So the collaborations we're looking for, I think the call out is we're looking at co-productions. We're looking at, what else are we looking at in terms of the call out? Co-productions, part ownership, commissioning. So that discussion is still up. Is it open? And ongoing. So Sukomi is around if you want to speak to him more about it. I don't really have a lot of time. I get people on this time thing, so I'm now sitting on this table and I'm about to put myself on the spot. If you have just one question, I think we also have the person in charge of our production. So we have a bit of productions. I think we have 1 or 2 in-house productions ongoing. Yeah, so if you have a question that we can take here, or you can look for anybody wearing our T-shirts for more questions. Can I take a question? Is it possible? Yeah, so a quick one. A quick one. Yeah? Thank you very much. In the absence of that, I want to say thank you so much for your time for us, and thank you for giving us a listening ear. Any word, or you want to just sign? Thank you so much, everyone.
to impart this knowledge. So if that interests you, particularly in developing stories and all of that, you can just make a quick stroll and learn a couple of things. Anyway, we're still having our spotlight on Murphy Ben International, the parent company of AfroRevo. And the first panel have talked about their newest product, Revo Plus. And then, of course, one of the areas that they hold a strong fort in. Okay, that should be Sukomi. Yeah. Chinwe will handle that. She's in charge of properties. Right. All right. So this time around, we're going to be talking about an area that Revo Plus, or rather AfroRevo, holds a very strong forte in, which is dubbing productions in various languages across the world. And it's encapsulated in a topic that says empowering creators and audiences, the role of AfroRevo dubbing in cultural exchange and global narratives. And speaking on that for the next, whatever time he sees on the clock, let me welcome the Sales and Cultural Development Officer for Revo Dubbing, Austin Obioha. Please, a round of applause.
In bringing stories to life in multiple languages with studios, with over 60 studios across the world. Why we feel a little bit, will I say, interesting is the fact that we don't just dub. We do multilingual dubbing. We can dub into different languages. So you're bringing one content in, and you're taking 5 other contents, 7 other content with different IPs, intellectual property. So how cool can that be? So now the question is, how many languages do you think your content needs to reach its full potential? Can anyone attempt that question? How many languages do you think your content can be for it to reach its full potential? 7? Okay. Anyways, the answer is as many as it has to get to, as many as it has to get to. So the cool thing about dubbing, most people don't even know what dubbing is, unfortunately. Like people think, I don't know, but we'll get to find out at the end of today. So we in Murphy Ben, we have a mission to revolutionize content accessibility. We are making content accessible. So people don't understand accessibility with distribution. Let me try to explain. So if your content is in French, for an example, and it's also in Pidgin, and it's also in Swahili, and it's also in Lingala. Now, do you know more people can reach out to you asking for your story? Does that make sense? So that is the power of accessibility. Is it accessible in those languages? So it's one of the distribution problems we've discovered, and we are committed to make content accessibility a thing of the past. Now, another cool thing about AfroRevo dubbing is that we have an innovative dubbing solution for every vision. Now, you might not understand what this means. When we say innovative solution for every vision, that means we can dub from a blockbuster movie to a skit, between, social media skits. We can dub that. So we've built that ability and capacity. And another interesting thing is when language seems to be a barrier, at Forever Dubbing, we speak the language that connects. So instead of language being a barrier, we turn language into a point of contact between cultures. So we're not just translating words, we are translating experiences. Please, can we go to the next slide? Next. Yeah, okay. So, key barriers to global content distribution. Number one, I said accessibility. And accessibility, you all know, can be overcome by solutions like dubbing and subtitling. And now we are here majorly to bring awareness to dubbing, because a lot of people, you might think, you understand the nuances of dubbing, but you don't. If you know the benefits, the value in dubbing, you will be amazed. A quick story. So let's say you produce a content and you dub it. By the time you dub it, do you know that the intellectual property has changed? It's no longer the same. You have two contents now. It's no longer the same content. So if you are licensing one to an Amazon, you can actually license the other version to a Netflix, and it's still the same title. So there are two. And the value in it is the money you would use to dub that content isn't even compared to the budget of the film. In fact, you can compare the money to the money you pay for one of your lead characters. That's how ridiculously good it is. How many of us know the title, Money Heist? And do you know till now, some people don't know that it wasn't shot in English because it was dubbed. So that's how crazy a story can go. That's how far a story can go when you dub it. So, and then we also believe and have made it not a problem any longer in terms of cost of localization when it comes to how the pricing for dubbing. So as a matter of fact, as I speak to you today, dubbing is no longer a problem. It's no longer tied to finances when it comes to Forever Dubbing. We've gone beyond, the budget. And then to be fair, also, the reason why this awareness is important is when you are kind of in pre-production, most people don't factor in marketing in their pre-production stage. So they feel like when the market doesn't work in a particular region, don't forget, when a story doesn't work in a particular region, there are chances that it could work in another region. But you don't factor in the distribution pathway, so most people don't put in dubbing on the budget sheet. So this is a call to producers. The budget for dubbing is maybe 1/10 of your post-production cost. So why are you not putting it there? And also, why we know that the awareness is not there is because when people bring in their content, there are supposed to be 3 audio stems to a production. You have the dialogue, you have the music, you have the effect, right? So if you are conscious of dubbing, you can export your audio in such a way that when it comes for dubbing, we could just replace the dialogue. We will not create a new music. We will not create a new effect. Even though sometimes it might be required for localization sake, to create a new music for the same title, okay? So this is a call to all producers and, to be aware that, dubbing, it's a gold mine that they are yet to discover. Then another thing we also want you to know about is, do you really care? about dubbing. Why you should care about dubbing, I'll tell you that, very soon. Next slide, please. So part of our discussion is empowering creators and audiences. Now, this is an empowerment. You never can, 60% off on dubbing, trust me, is an empowerment. So if you have the capacity to dub one, now you can dub two and have change. So trust me, when we say we've overcome financial constraints when it comes to dubbing, for us, we are now pursuing cultural development. We're no longer looking at, how much are we gonna make? No, we've gone beyond that. And this is also to inform you that this decision is, the only thing holding your content from being dubbed is you. So we don't want you to be cautious anymore, but we're still going to dive into more reasons. I just want to create some level of consciousness in us about dubbing. Please, the next slide. So I'm so glad that this topic of cultural exchange, exporting culture has already been discussed by a lot of panels. So now, there is something I want to point out about this. Cultural exchange is something that is real, and it has a value. So by definition, cultural exchange is a process by which people share values. Values could be ideas, could be customs, could be traditions, could be fashion, could be food. So the process by which people share these values to build understanding, respect, and appreciation for one another. Because what you don't know is like a threat to you. But by the time people see you from their own connection point, they now feel comfortable with you. Okay? That's the human nature. So the whole idea of this is to make us connected. The more connected we are, the more, productive, the more opportunities and possibilities exist for human. So when I say connection, do you know that there are issues like racism? There are issues like discrimination. Can you imagine, like, oh, you're not from my tribe, oh, you're not from this, oh, your skin color is this. That is a disconnected community. That's a disconnected society. So when we talk about connection, we need to know that it is so crucial. So dubbing, makes that possible amongst people. Now, in the context of film and TV, can we go to the next slide? Next slide. So dubbing happens through global distribution. Now, it still goes back to accessibility. How can your story resonate globally? Are you thinking distributing globally? Now, we heard yesterday from the French embassy that the biggest film market, that no Nigerian film was represented last year. And the reason is simple, because you feel like it's French, my content is in English. If you have your content in any language, then it begins to resonate with you. If they say, oh, there is something happening in this French country, because you have a stake in it, you'll be part of that. You will feel like, you have that sense of belonging in that area. So probably the reason is because, basically people are not aware. Because I bet each and every one of us, if we have our content in French, we will be going to France every year. There are a lot of film events happening in France, and we could be part of that. And then secondly, we also learned in this hall that Nigeria as a country is bordered by French countries. It was mind-boggling. Nigeria is bordered. So if that is our reality, so we have the export potential. There are people waiting to watch. There are people waiting to see. There are people waiting to connect with us. Why are we not taking that advantage yet? So that's why this awareness is very crucial. Please, let's go global. And this idea of cultural exchange is not by chance, it's deliberate. It's a deliberate thing. You need to sit down and say, yes, this has the potential for cultural exchange. And then you do it because you understand the influence. The person that spoke before me said something about soft power. Soft power to influence somebody positively. So that is in our hands, but we don't know, and we are not appropriating it the way it should be. Next slide, please. Now, what do you understand by global narrative? What is global narrative? Simply talks about the power of storytelling. Storytelling is so meaningful that I feel like people really don't know the insight behind storytelling. Number one, universal connection. Stories tap into shared human experiences, fostering empathy across cultures. So by the time you watch a film, somebody laughs, you laugh. Somebody is sad, you are sad. So you begin to see similarities in your between two of you, right? So that way, it's built universal connection. Cultural preservation. Cultural preservation. Let's say we tell our story in this generation. The next generation that will come are going to feed on it. What we tell them is what they believe, right? So through dubbing, we can preserve and share our cultures. Then catalyst for change. Dubbing gives an issue the required oxygen of publicity it needs. By the time you tell a story or you have a concept, let's say there is gender-based violence story that you have. Now, the people that that story could influence their lives might not be listening to you in English. For an example, let's say you shoot such a story in English, and the people who are affected by this problem live in northern Nigeria. They might not appreciate it, but by the time you dub it in pidgin language, by the time you dub it in their own local dialect, it resonates better. So please, dubbing, I cannot overemphasize on the benefits. The next one is identity and preservation. So nobody knows your story until you tell them. People can have, like when knowledge is not available, imagination becomes active. People can say, well, she's not laughing because she doesn't like me, but you're not telling your story. So identity and representation, you need to tell your story. You need to be represented through your story. And storytelling also is an avenue where reality meets imagination. You want something. Who could remember the days of Star Wars, when we were seeing flat screen TVs, when we were seeing some crazy technologies, and we were like, but today is a reality, right? So imagination and reality meet through storytelling. So you can actually create this. The Wakanda that we all saw, somebody was making an argument. Oh, do you expect us, the white people, to come and create the Wakanda for you? No, we have to create our own Wakanda. That's the power of storytelling. You need to tell the story of the future you deserve. So at this point, let me try again to explain to you what dubbing means. Can I go to the next slide? So there is a video that's going to play just to show a little of.
Provides high premium dubbing services into several languages.
Elle est devenue incontrôlable. Et surtout quand j'ai entendu ce qu'elle a dit à Sarah, j'ai eu du mal à ne pas lui dire quelque chose. Qu'est-ce qu'elle a dit? Elle a dit...
Our Remo Dubbing Studio provides high premium dubbing services into several languages.
Elle est devenue incontrôlable. Et surtout quand j'ai entendu ce qu'elle a dit à Sarah, j'ai eu du mal à ne pas lui dire quelque chose. Qu'est-ce qu'elle a dit? Elle a dit quelque chose. Quelque chose à propos de la mère de Sarah.
Ṣé ọmọ tí mi ò mọ iye tó ṣú tó bá wà lọ́jọ́ ọmọ tó máa kó wa sínú wàhálà ńkọ́.
Ṣé gbogbo èṣù ló
rárá
wà
nǹkan tó wù mí ni pé
mo ti bẹ.
wo bíbá ẹ ọmọ kókó ló wù mí ká gbà tọ́ ṣùgbọ́.
Mana ka bi yara. Nke bi yara.
Oh, ọ dị mma. Kedu ife ị na-eme maka ndị a na-enye nsogbu ebe anyị nọ n'elu ijikwa nsogbu a? N'elu nsogbu a,
You did there? You watched the show?
Before I go, why I no go watch am?
Oh yeah now. Oh yeah, boss my bolole again. Hi B.
Merci ndenge sofa kingana butu.
Likambute. Kombono sana ni?
Unataka kunijulisha eti mimi ni mtu ambao unazungumzia kwa ile mambo pale? Mfalme aliyefunuliwa?
Asamani. Mais lui, il dormait.
Oga, c'est ça le problème. C'est ça le problème. Je ne dors pas. Je ne dors pas. Oga, tu préfères croire une petite gamine à moi?
Including English, French, Swahili, Lingala, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Twi, and more for live action events, movies, animations, documentaries and series, radio and TV commercials, as well as online video content. Our world-class studios are equipped with state-of-the-art HD equipment. We're headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria. You can reach us via our email, dubbing@afrorevo.com, on Instagram, AfroRevoDubbing. Visit our website, www.afrorevodubbing.com. AfroRevo, the one-stop place for everything entertainment.
Benefits of dubbing. All right, these are just the much I can fit into the slide. That's a whole lot. Okay, accessibility, audience engagement, increased revenue, and so on. So next slide, please. Next slide. So Afrorevo dubbing, like I said, has an innovative solution for every vision. I mean, you can meet us at our booth. We have preachers, and you wouldn't even tell that it was dubbed. So you saw a skit. This is a YouTube skit that was just dubbed, and you could tell how interactive and how original it looks. In fact, let me not say more than that. Let's go to the next slide. So please, back to this offer. This QR code, this offer ends on the 1st of November, and the QR code means like you are interested. So it's open to 20 producers. Once we reach that 20, the 60% goes back to 0%. So please, I encourage everybody here, take advantage. 60% means you can do double of what your money can do for you, basically. And the next slide. So please, if you're ready to go global, if you're ready to reach new audiences, feel free, reach us, contact us. We are outside. And can I have the card? Is anybody interested in scanning the card? I have a copy of this. So take this, it's very handy. You would need it later. So just take it and scan for it. So lastly, I'm here, I've ended, and let me also just give you a story to end it, 1 minute. So the story is, somebody will say, oh, but my title is subtitled, I don't need dubbing anymore. Now, the first thing is something I call the radio effect. If a content is playing in a language you don't know, and you're not reading the screen, you've lost out. But if it's dubbed in your language, you could be in the bathroom, you could be in the kitchen, you could be anywhere, but you're listening. That's how powerful dubbing can be for your content. The second one is literacy effect. Now, people who can read subtitles are reading Financial Times. There are a lot of people who are literate enough, but more of the audiences don't want to read. So when you are just subtitling, you are missing out from the larger chunk of the market. And then lastly, the child education effect. Children don't read. But if you dub a content, they could hardly tell that it was even dubbed. So this is just to buttress on the fact that please, you need to be aware of dubbing, and Afrorevo is your best plug. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Austin Obioha, and that was a very, very well laid out. What can I? your content, and it's been there for a long time. I remember some years ago I saw, those Jesus film in Igbo language. It was really hilarious. You appreciate the Bible from another perspective. When we are breaking the bread, he say, my body. Real for life. All right. In this summit, we are basically going all around the various holes and the various entry barriers and all of that to make sure that problems are solved, in different ways. So from content to packaging to language, globalization, and all of that. And this time around, we have come back to one of the very important aspects again, which is finance, which is money. Because even the dubbing that Austin came to talk about here, you will pay the voice actors, you will pay the studios, you need money. Even before Rivo Plus, for you to commission your content, you need money. Everybody needs money, and the structure, the industry needs money at the end of the day. And that is why we are honored to have a discussion from the financial perspective, courtesy of the UBA group. And I'm sure you know. If you don't, then know for the first time that UBA are also the owners of Red TV. So they are not just talking the talk, they are walking the walk. They are spending the money in this space already. And today's conversation will be on the importance of building sustainable funding structure for the film industry, and of course, film as a product. They're going to be speaking from the SME perspective for industry structure to unlock film financing opportunities. The Red TV
we have to all work together and the finance industry to make this as successful as possible. So this is really a privilege, and we are looking forward to delving deep into the discussion today and hopefully taking some questions from everyone in the audience as well. Before I start, I think I'm going to allow my colleagues to introduce themselves so that you get to know them a little better. My name is Alero Ladipo. I'm the group head for marketing and corporate communications at UBA. And really my portfolio is to look after the brand. Also Red TV sits under my portfolio, which I'll speak to a little bit. And just understanding the business and customers is really my core. So you will delve into that a little bit more, but I'll just hand over to my colleague, Babatunde.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Babatunde Ajayi, and I'm the group head for SME banking. My portfolio includes 20 countries in Africa, driving SME banking. And currently, I'm the one driving the $6 billion partnership with AFCFTA, focusing on SME businesses across Africa. We're trying to ensure that we enhance intra-Africa trade because the statistics we have currently is nothing to write home about. When you look at a continent where the volume of intra-Africa trade is just 18%, then you have 82% of this trade done with an African business and a counterparty outside Africa. And that's the smallest in the world. The only one that is a bit smaller than that is within the Arab countries. And there, you know, they are very, very rich. They can afford to play down on trade, not Africa. And what we are pushing, we're trying to push that envelope to ensure that we have greater participation of African businesses trading amongst ourselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Babatunde. And I'd just like my colleague Jessica to introduce herself as well.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jessica Chukwukani. I am the head of Creative, Health, and Hospitality in Health Insurance Group. So basically, what I'm here to preach, basically is going to be preaching, is to show the entertainment industry, because this is a particular sector that over time, I've noticed I have little to no appetite to insurance. So basically what we're here to do is to create the awareness so that we can, the great minds that we have in this space, the creative mind, the brilliant mind, will understand to put measures in place, the need to put measures in place to protect that wonderful ideas, the wonderful businesses that they have, and also the investors as well will be comfortable enough to put in the millions of nairas and dollars into the sector and also go to bed at night and have a good night's sleep. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're trying to cover all the facets of financing here. So you've got the bank and then you've got insurance. So we're going to speak on a wide range. And I think the first question that we have is really for us to speak to how creatives build sustainable funding structures in the film industry. And it's very interesting because we just finished a series this morning called Built to Last. And on that series that we were hosting in the UBA house, we had some creatives that had been in the industry for years. And the reason we use the word creatives and not just films is that, you know, over time we've learned that there are different aspects to film. And it's not just about either what we describe as the finished product, but there's all those business lines within the value chain that need to be supported in order for them to do their work and do it properly. And that's also where financing comes in. We feel that what we're trying to do in UBA is to ensure that businesses, all the different parts of the value chain of film production, are supported and that they also have the right kind of professional backing. And one thing that we're trying to do as well, because where we find or where we have seen that there's some challenges is in the structures that these different parts of the value chain have. There's a lack of structure, there's a lack of understanding, and then when you come to the bank asking for finance, we have all sorts of different questions, and then it just turns, the conversation is, oh, you don't want to support us. We do want to support the creative industry, but the idea is that there needs to be structure in your business. It is a business after all. It's not, you're not just because you're a creative doesn't mean that you're just doing it for fun. You're doing it because you want to professionalize an offering, and you also want to make money. And so the bank wants to help you professionalize your offering and make money as well. Jessica, when it comes to the insurance part of it, what are your thoughts? Because that's also an area that we don't get a lot of insights from a creative point of view.
Okay, like I said, can you hear me? Okay, like I mentioned earlier, like this creative sector or the entertainment industry in Nigeria basically have little to no appetite for insurance, and we at Hairs Insurance Group, we are doing everything possibly well to see that we create this awareness, we give all the support, we create products, we work hand in hand with these entertainers, these creative, amazing, brilliant minds to create products that will tailor to their specific needs. So in order for investors to be comfortable enough to invest in their projects, and also for long-term purposes, because we might be doing things today because of the fun, because it's a passion for us. But at the end of the day, you're doing it because you need to make money out of it, and tomorrow you want to retire and retire well. Because there's one peculiar thing in this, especially the film industry, or music as well. We've noticed over time that the people that we used to think that were popping back in the days, the next time you see them on the internet soliciting for fun, for help, for medical this or for medical that. But at your prime, you can actually set things on the side. I don't think there's anybody in their prime, or even in this room, that if you tell, okay, set aside 5,000 naira or 10,000 or even 1,000 naira every month, so that in the future, insurance can come in and take care of you. Even to the cameraman, if you ask most of them here that they don't have insurance to cover these cameras they have, and if anything happens, you see yourself dipping your hand inside your pocket, getting new cameras, and the little things that insurance can come in to help you put together to mitigate the risk, the exposures the risk that your businesses or your career or whatever you do, even intellectual property is exposed to. Hairs Insurance Group is there to help you. So please, before I leave, I can drop my cards with anyone who is interested. And it's also coming as a plea. Please try to protect yourself for tomorrow. It might not be for today, but because you can't work hard and tomorrow you go outside, people will be asking you, what did you achieve in your prime? So please, let's secure this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I think, the issue with insurance is that, Nigerians suffer a lot from God forbid syndrome. It's not going to happen to me. It's not my portion syndrome. And the idea is that, let's be very frank with ourselves. Things like insurance, things like trust, estate management, whatever it is, today, yes, please go ahead and just live for the now. But if you're building a business in the film industry that you want to be remembered, all the major production companies globally, the MGMs of this world, I can't remember all the names, they're hundreds of years old. They started a long time ago. The owners that started them are no longer, but they put certain things in place. So I just wanted to also to tap into Babatunde's knowledge as well, and to just ask him, how do you think the creative industry can position themselves properly to receive financing? Because I think that's one area where there's a lot of gray. So we'd like you to understand your expertise on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Some of the things I'll be saying now, some of them will be based on my experience when we just got the creative finance funding that was sponsored by the Bankers Committee and the Central Bank. Some of the people I interviewed that came forward to come and get the loans, what I got from some of them is the fact that they had the passion to be able to produce, but they didn't tick all the boxes. It's a different thing when a bank wants to sponsor you based on CSR and all that. But you see, when you are coming up with your creatives, you should be able to look at the end of the tunnel. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Let me use the film industry as an example of the creative industry. You have 5 different, within the value chain, you have development. First, very important. That's where you get very compelling script. And somebody said a compelling script requires a very good writer. And a very good writer requires time. And we all know that time is money. You must bring your money to the table for you. You don't need to call on a bank to say you want to write your script. But after script, the next thing is finance. But most times, people, the moment you know that finance is the second one on your value chain, the second thing you must tackle, because the other things remaining, like production, like marketing and channels, that's distribution, as well as exploitation, where you get your money. Those ones cannot come into reality unless you face the finance. Finance will ask you about the 2 last, which is your channels. That's the distribution channels, where the money will come from. It's very, very important for you to look at this from the beginning to the end. You must have ticked the boxes from the beginning down to the end before coming to say you want finance. If you have passion, maybe you want to do a documentary that this one is not for everyone to view. It's just for a select few. Then you need to look for partners whose mission is along the line of what you are bringing the documentary on, not coming to the bank. It's very important for you to be able to look at it. As I said, the value chain is very, very important. Filming is there's a delicate balance between creativity and financing. You must look at the two very well. And I'm so happy now that we've started having some distribution channels now. Film One is one of them. They've been creating so many outlets around for creatives to be able to showcase what they have and be able to exploit and get money from this. But you must do it end to end. Whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. That's the first thing. That means you must know you must know the value chain. You must be able to show me where the money is coming out from. It's very, very important. That's what I want to know. That this fund I'm giving to you, which is not equity into your business, is debt capital. Where is the money going to come from? Therefore, you must go from the first, from production, from development, down to the exploitation, and be able to understand it. You must be able to understand your business even more than me that I want to finance. You must speak with confidence. That is at the industry level. But basically, first, I want to know the kind of business you are running. Do you have structure within your business? Or you are taking the money from your business. You don't know how to differentiate between the money in your pocket and the money in your business. You are not ready for business. There's no discipline of entrepreneurship. It's a different ball game for you to be good in what you want to do. That finance one must also be there. You must be able to let your business have its own life separate from your own. I think, Alero, this build to last we went through this morning. I would like, if it's possible for you to help us share that keynote address by that lady in Kenya with everyone here. They will be able to take a lot from it. It's very, very important for you to have a semblance of order in your business. What I mean by order is that business registered? You register it to be able to separate yourself from the business. Let the business have its own personal life. Then your records, your financing. Don't let it be out of pocket. As you start little, make sure you have records. You are putting the money in the bank. Because as bankers, we are very, very objective. We take it with a pinch of salt, whatever you tell us with your mouth. We want to see what you have in your account. That speaks to us much more. Volume, it speaks volume much more than what you tell us. Beyond what you tell us, we want to see what we can look at and be able to analyze your business. It's very, very important for you to do that. That means you need to have, when you say bookkeeping, you must be able to know that. It's very, very important. That's the discipline of entrepreneurship beyond what your own technical skills within your industry, within the creative. That one is very, very important for you to be able to succeed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Babatunde. And I think, one of the critical things that, from a bank perspective, we don't see a lot of from the production parts and film and everything is really that sort of structure and formalizing the business parts. And that's where financing, the institutions that can finance, like UBA, start to struggle. Because if you can't see where the money is going to, where it's coming from, where it's going to on a consistent basis, what really are you trying to show? You're trying to show that you can pay back, right? Let's keep it as simple as that. Now, if you cannot show where it's coming through, and a lot of conversations around, it's the inconsistency of the business. That's why, the inflows are irregular and so on and so forth. But if you keep it, if you have a business mindset from the beginning, then you won't have a challenge with trying to show, okay, how irregular is it? And I think another part of it is that value chain approach that Babatunde spoke about, the different aspects to production, and making those different verticals of production, making them businesses and not seeing it as a whole production is probably going to get you a better chance of financing. We also had, I've been asked to speak a little bit about Red TV as well, so I will do. I think from a Red TV perspective, people always ask that why did UBA decide to go into Red TV and why we have this platform. I mean, the initial reason was we wanted to be able to put out content for us that would appeal to a different kind of audience that's not the typical UBA audience, and that's why we have Red TV. But I think it's also because we want to showcase talent. Now it's about showcasing talent on the African continent. I don't know how many people are in the room from different countries, but for us it's about showcasing African talent now. So you're going to see more of Francophone content, content that's coming, Lusophone content as well from Portuguese-speaking Africa. And that's the kind of content that we want to start seeing to actually showcase what's happening on the continent. So I think for me, that's from a Red TV perspective. And then from a financing perspective, I think I'll ask the team to give some last points before we take questions. Maybe Jessica, I don't know what you want to say, just to round up from an insurance point of view regarding the film industry, regarding production, regarding artists, because we know we do see a lot of stories every day. So what would be your last comments? And then I'll take Babatunde's as well.
Thank you. I can only say that industry players should just put measures. Hello? Okay, I think people in the entertainment industry should put measures in place to safeguard everything they are working for today and also work for the future, in the sense that you might be the happening thing today. I need you to understand that if you don't put proper measures in place to mitigate the risk you're exposed to, all those things you worked for today might not be there tomorrow. So that's my advice to everyone here. So please take insurance serious. I happen to be heading 3 sectors, and I can tell you for a fact that entertainment sector or the creative sector has zero appetite for insurance. And it gets me, I'm a bit worried, because this is a sector that has amazing minds, brilliant minds, intelligent, creative minds, and a whole lot of money goes into this. If you're not protecting all this, I don't understand. Like, it does not make sense to me. So please, let's make insurance our friend before you embark on any project. Before you even pick up a 50 kobo to invest in anything, even you as an investor, please make sure that this business or this project you're about to invest your funds into, there is something backing it up, which is called insurance, to protect you or to protect the business, or to protect the production, or to protect the creative mind, whatever that needs protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Babatunde.
Okay, thank you very much. Just as you know, beyond that, I want to give you this challenge, please. And I'm happy to have you here, two of them, because I've seen the impact this is making already, but we can do better. The two things is using your platform. I think we need to work with the government and CBN. We should be able to come up with an IP platform for creatives. You know, we have starters, those who are startups. Then you have those who are already in it, and they have portfolio of products or portfolio of outputs they've done in the past. They should be able to monetize that. You should be able to go to a bank with your portfolio and say, this is what I have. There should be a way I should be able to discount it to the president to know the value, to use this as your collateral, rather than asking the normal collateral we ask for people. Creatives, they don't have that. My experience has shown that. That is number one. The number two is, from what I heard while Avurevo was talking, that means creatives will help us also to bond across the different countries in Africa. You can produce films and it can be relayed in different languages. Therefore, it also follows the purpose of AFCFTA. And I know you have, you also have friends in Afrexim and also the AFCFTA Secretariat. I know currently we have 4 sectors we are focusing on. That's pharmaceutical, we are focusing on automotive, we are looking at agro-processing, and we are looking at transport and logistics. But I think creatives, they are going to bring in some other sectors. I think focus should also be on these creatives so that the necessary finance that is needed to be able to take us out of this doldrum we have, will be able to get the financing. I think it's with your clout and your friends, I think we can push that envelope to be able to introduce that. No. What I mean is that currently, the AFCFTA, in finance, the financing, working with us, I mentioned the $6 billion partnership we have. We're just focusing on 4 sectors. The reason why that focus is on that 4 sectors is because they want all the countries in Africa to be able to benefit. And I think creatives now is going around all over Africa. It's just transfer of culture, cultural transfer. Do you understand? I think that sector should also be prioritized so that the necessary financing and the attention also be given to it. We can use this platform to achieve that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Babatunde. And yes, I think the idea of events and platforms like this is to, my understanding is that it's meant to elevate what is our local talent and African talent and find ways of how do you support the different pillars. So I think my last comment, the comments are not my last comment, but my final comment would be, let's also keep the conversation going. Sometimes I feel we start it and then we don't do anything about it, and then we have like 1 or 2 events over the year, then we come together and we talk about it. I think it would be nice for the events like this to have some sort of white paper that is then submitted to a committee to say this is the outcome of the conversations that we've had at this level. And, even if it's to a house committee initially, and then see what happens with the process. Because if you can start to bring the conversation up, especially in relation to financing and in relation to even the infrastructure that you need for your production, then this will be an easier process. And then next time we come back here, we're looking at, okay, what's our progress report? We were here last year, And it would have been nice for us to say, okay, this was the outcome of what happened last year. And UBA is not just coming to say, oh, yes, we do give finance, but we're coming to say, okay, these are the projects we've been able to finance. How can you come on board? Those sorts of things. So we're looking forward that this time, this is what we will be able to achieve. So we're open to questions. If there are any questions that anyone has for us. Well, thank you again. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Babatunde. Thank you, Alero. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, and I completely agree with Alero that we should actually have measurable outcomes of these conversations, because I remember last year also you spoke extensively and you also threw up some challenges to us like you just did. And so question, actually what I was talking about is the first point you made around going to CBN. It's a huge concern that we don't have our own local, platforms, except maybe like Accelerate, and there's also trying to monetize, right? But if anything happens in, the major platforms, right, for the streaming and all that, where a lot of people, someone sat beside me this afternoon, she said she spent 200 million on her movie, and is sitting down somewhere, she doesn't know what to do with it. No, that's the reality of so many filmmakers. Because, I've worked in distribution, so I always get those kind of calls. They've walked up to me here to say, okay, they said you are the one to help us. I'm like, oh God, But they are trying to figure, they don't know 200 million sitting down somewhere, and she can't figure out what's next. So there's an issue. And even this morning as well, Femi Odubemi spoke about how he has so many young people who have found finance. They found money. That's not the issue now. Their family and friends, that are ready to contribute. The money is coming from different sources. But how can we build sustainable businesses if you don't know how to recoup the investment and then go back and then recoup and then go back? Because then that's when the value chain, the whole ecosystem is being enabled. So, I've had these conversations with so many people, and even Okwe sitting here in the room said to me, what can we do? How can we come up with a platform, a local platform that people can monetize? Because it's a concern. It's a huge concern for the industry that we don't really have distribution. And everything is going towards digital, right? So how can we actually come up with something that is robust enough? Because the content is there, and I can tell you also the money is there. But how can we get financing that can support distribution infrastructure that can actually help to enable the industry?
I have a question. So what's the plan then? Because it's about building, and it's about if it's the distribution, so that's almost like the last mile, right? That's the challenge. That's what you're saying is the challenge. So if it's that aspect of it, what are the challenges? Because so I think sometimes the information that as bankers that we get is really that beginning stage, the production part. And like you said, because the last mile is not available, you're not building sustainable businesses. So family and friends give you some money for a production. You can't recoup, and you can't show them that you're going to recoup. So even if you have your personal, and then you can't go back. So you just do a one-off production, and that's it. So I think if that's the main thing, maybe that's another conversation that we can have about about these distribution platforms and how one can support. Because the business side of distribution is even easier for a bank to understand than the production part of it. So that's a really good comment. Thank you, Joma.
Okay, let me just, also, I just feel whenever you have any challenge, it's also an opportunity to come up with innovative products or ideas. If you look at the music industry, today, the last mile is so democratized that all you need to do is come up with a very good content. You'll be there on so many of these streaming platforms. And you can monetize your output. I hope you can get that. I know it takes a lot, much more, within the film industry. It takes a lot. But I think we should also have something, a lifestyle platform that is much more democratized for people to be able to, do you understand, to be able to monetize their output. I think we need to do that. And also, we also need to look at the way we produce film today, the production, which is the most expensive, and see what can we do differently to see how to bring down the cost of production. Those are the two areas. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's it?
Yeah, if there's no questions.
Quick look. Any more? Right. Okay, I think,
Hello.
Okay. Okay, someone.
Yesterday, good afternoon.
Sorry, just before you continue, at the Kano room, there is the, what do you call it again? The pitch, with the Film Authority from Ghana. So if you have ideas and stuff, okay, they've been selected already. Okay, so I'm sure they know themselves, so that's fine. Okay, so okay, let's take a question. Okay, Akoma, go ahead.
All right, good afternoon. I just wanted to find out, yesterday during a panel's conversation, they talked about the interest rate from banks being about 40% for everyone, including those in the creative industry, which is really, really high. So I wanted to find out if UBA has a special concession for creatives or those in the film industry. Is it still the same 40%? Are you saying we will be funded and what we'll have to pay back will be 40%?
Well, it's not 40%. That's I don't know who said it was 40%, but it's not 40%. So basically, the interest rates in general in Nigeria for all businesses is high, and that's just driven by what's going on in our economy at this point in time. It's not because the banks just choose to give high interest rates. What the banks do, and that's why Babatunde will speak to this, we partner with associations that can allow us give lower interest rates to different sectors. And that's why we were talking about the AFCFTA, to say that if we can bring the creative industry into that portfolio, you'll find that the loans given off that will be much better, and you won't have to use the ongoing interest rate that's prevalent in Nigeria. And what we also do in UBA is that I don't know, Babatunde may speak to them, there may be other specific partnerships. So for example, we have a partnership for women in business. So it allows them to get a loan at a much less interest rate. So it's based on us just trying to get all those partnerships, and also that allows us to offer certain industries and certain industries and sectors in different interest rates. So don't be discouraged is what I would say.
Just to speak more to that, this is like a pressure group. And what we can do is to also work with DFIs that are interested in creatives. And they will work with us and ensure the level of collateral you require is far lower, and also the funding is lower. Okay, that's what I'm saying. IP for creatives. IP is the best form of collateral, but it's not, in Nigeria, it's not yet established. There's no policy on it, there's no bill on it. I know the people who have worked on it, I saw some foreign interest coming in to be able to see what to do in that area, because some of our creatives, they earn their funds abroad in dollars. It doesn't even touch us as bankers here. Therefore, they saw these funds coming in. Then there's money in this town. There's money in Africa. How do we develop, work with partners to be able to do this? And those are the things I think we need to get on board immediately, work on, because they currently use it abroad. There's a way you can find a discounted value of your future cash flow. You can discount it to the present of all the portfolio of assets you have, creative assets you have, to be able to know the value today. And the bank, everyone can assess it. The assessment is the same across all banks because there's a uniform assessment. If you take it to this bank, they will know, okay, this is the value. And based on that value, do you understand? And you can sign papers that can push it to me. I become the owner for as long as the loan remains. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's collateral. You don't need to begin to bring physical collateral, say LM. Sometimes when you say legal mortgage, a creative will say, I'm just trying to find my feet. I've not built any house. Even if I've built any house, the house I have, I don't, and I know it resonates with me because I've had one-on-ones with several of them. Do you understand? I think it's something we need to work on to be able to push the frontier of creativity. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Lero. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Mr. Babatunde. I think I please.
"75 years of building a legacy and rewarding you. This time, it's bigger. Save small and win a share of 200 million naira. The UBA Legacy promo is here to make it happen. Save 5,000 naira and watch the money rain. 75 customers will win 1 million naira. 75 customers 500,000 naira. 75 customers 250,000 naira. 75 customers 100,000 naira. And lots more. It's a win-win. Dial *919*20# to open a savings, bumper, next gen or kiddies and teens account and start saving to qualify. Terms and conditions apply. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Follow the exciting lives of 3 aspiring socialites in our new hit series, Assistant Madams. Binge on the Men's Club, Inspector K, exclusive interviews, juicy behind-the-scenes footage, and other premium lifestyle content by logging on to www.youtube.com/itsredtv. Hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and follow all the juicy updates. Because what's life without the drama? And what's the web without Red TV? Feel the heat.
At this point, we're going to be having post-production business because, when Babatunde was speaking, talked about development, production, and then, of course, there is post
Ladies and gentlemen, you think you've seen it all. You think you've heard it all. You think you've done it all. But this year's Nigeria International Film and TV Summit is going to blow.
I've been there many times at NIF, and I'm very happy to be here again and to touch on another topic. So what we're gonna address image and sound post-production. I guess it's a very, very crucial topic, and we would like to stress on the why. But before that, just to link with the previous conversation, if you talk about finance, distribution is not the last miles. Actually, it has to be anticipated from the beginning and from the initial budget. And it goes with your post-house. Because if you don't have the proper elements, you cannot distribute. And that goes with the technical part. I just wanted to highlight that. Could you go to the next slide, please? Next slide, yeah. All right. So before we start, I am Juliette, so we had so many Juliettes. This is very rare. And I am the one, I lived in Kenya, by the way. And I am the one who set it up and created High-Venti Africa, so in Kenya, Nigeria, and Morocco, fully focused on localization. And at that time, when we developed that in 2019, it was at the same time with Netflix. And we developed skills, jobs to bring in more high-end techniques in localization in Africa. And that was part exactly like Austin was saying earlier. It was a way to tell African stories out there and to reach a global audience, because if you don't have proper localization, of course, it won't work. And over the past decade, by getting many contents from the continent that we had to QC for Netflix or Amazon or many others. And by discussing with all my African friends from Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, West Africa, we are facing something obvious, I suppose, that we are lacking proper image and sound post-production within the continent to reach international standards. And that's a pity, because each time one of you is producing a content that aims to be distributed worldwide, unfortunately, the quality as per an international standard is not completely there. And at many occasions, producers from Africa are going back to London, to Paris or LA to do their post-production. And therefore, we are not in a position at the moment to keep the entire cycle of the production of our African content within the continent. And I guess it's something very crucial that we need to fix and change, because when we do the post is not only a technical, it's not only technical jobs, it's also an artistic jobs. It's how you will bring your touch, your nuances, your approach within your content. And if you do your post in UK and London, it won't have your African touch. So you are losing partly your artistic objective when you go elsewhere, and especially in Europe, to do your post. So that's point one. Point two, by doing the post elsewhere, we are not empowering the economy and the people locally. So this is really upsetting from my point of view, because it means all the knowledge in color grading, mixing, picture editing, it's elsewhere, but not here. While we need to really empower the people, our African talent, to meet the international technical standard in image and sound, first to get and to remain the production within the continent, but also to raise the bar. And to raise the bar, we need our local talent to know how to manage all this post work. So that's another, for me, key component. And it's a way to overall increase the quality of the picture for our domestic market, but also while we are aiming to distribute out there. And the only way to combine both is to create the ecosystem locally. So nowadays, just to explain why Digital Factory. Digital Factory is a post-production house from the famous film director Luc Besson. So I don't know if you know this film director. He did The Fifth Element, Lucy, many others. And you know, to bring the image and sound post expertise, you need to have solid people behind you with a very long experience. And this is why this guy is there. So Frederic will introduce maybe himself later, or maybe not. But Frederic has been in the industry for more than 30 years. He did the post-production of so many blockbusters that has been released in Hollywood and in Europe. And we need this kind of expertise to bring in within the continent a very solid facilities, because it's not only about equipment, it's about how we're going to share the knowledge, how we're going to empower our people locally to properly manage the color grading, to be able to embrace Atmos mixing, to be able to embrace new format and techniques, and to raise the bar regarding the quality of our local productions. So for that, we need the expertise. And that's why we decided, hey guys, it's time we go together and we develop Digital Factory in Africa. So I will tell more about with what we started at the end, but before that, and I hope it will not bother you too much or be not too boring, we'll try to avoid to be too technical, but for us it was important to remind you the good practices in terms of image and sound. Because also, my dear friends from the continent, I have noticed at so many occasions, the post is not including from the beginning. You may always think, oh, I have my friend, he has a computer with Premiere on it, he'll do the video editing. Don't bother, and I will not spend money on that. And so on and so forth. While the good practices to successfully meet your creative intent and meet your distribution objectives is to get your post from the beginning. So as per today, to me clearly, we have three main components that are at stakes within the continent. First, to bring in the post in the continent. Let's keep the entire chain of the production in the continent. That's point one. Point two, we need to empower and to transfer knowledge within the continent in order to serve our local industry, but our worldwide distribution. And the third point, and it's part of the discussion that we had earlier with Aforevo for the dubbing, with the distribution worldwide. If you don't keep properly your assets, you won't be able to distribute or to localize afterwards. So, and then you have to redo and to re-spend double the price to fix what has not been thought before it. So for me, these three components are super important. And if we just stress on what are the assets to keep, and please keep that in mind, because if you don't have that, and that's where as well the post house is with you, your partner, to make sure that we will safeguard in a proper format your assets for future uses. And I'd like Frederic just to re-stress on, not being too technical, but the why we need all these assets to be kept.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Juliet correctly told, it is really, really important not to forget to ensure the continuity and the security of your assets. It's not an African problem, it's a worldwide problem. Everybody in every country has the same problem, because when you are doing a movie, you can think about the movie itself, the release and its first exploitation, but it will have a life, and hopefully the life will be long. And maybe the standards will evolve, maybe you have to release into new supports and things like that, and you have to ensure you will always have access to your sources and to the best possible quality of masters in the future. So it directly began at the shooting stage, where you are really committed to answer. You will always preserve your dailies, your rushes, and the most with the better quality possible, the best quality, sorry, possible, to ensure a smooth exploitation in the future. We've known many movies where, for example, when UHD came out and you had to release a new version, upscaled and so on, it was time to make some promotion and so on. And some directors wanted to go back to their rushes to give new stock material to promote things and new formats and things like that. And it's only possible if you ensured a very strong continuity on your master and really an archival. It's not a USB drive you keep somewhere on your clothes. It's just using the correct technology to ensure the data today, because we are always talking about data today and not celluloid films anymore most of the time. You will have to preserve it and ensure maybe in 50 years you will be able to retrieve this data and make something with it if it's needed. This is a cultural and historical problem you will have to embrace.
But here's the thing. For instance, as an example, okay, I have distributed my content, okay, I'm from Nigeria, I sold it in Kenya, great. 2 years after, wow, the Chinese are interested. But then I will have to re-edit as per the Chinese market and the Chinese audience. So if I don't have correctly saved my assets, then I won't be able to do it. So my deal is gone. And I won't be able to dub in Chinese. Or I will have to recreate my MNE and it's a nightmare and it costs. So this is what you have to really keep in mind. And we are here to help, to guide. The why we have to keep at the end in a certain format your assets. And your assets, it's years of work. You've been sweating. You fought to create your content. So please, protect it on a long-term basis. So back to the next slide, please. And it's just to re-emphasize these three keys. It's really to bringing the past, build capacity, and then to storage and archives. And thanks to that, it's a way to reach the global audience, to reach everyone, to maximize your revenues, to more distribute. This is the key for the success. Next slide, please. So here, Fred, because we don't want to go too far into the technicality of the post, but we wanted you to be aware about the cycle of the post, step by step regarding the image and the sound. It's a quick overview, but don't minimize it. It's a long process, and sound and image are to be treated in parallel.
You have a very nice drawing on the slide, which is quite ideal, representing the cycle of any movie for cinema or for TV exploitation, and it sounds quite straight like that. In the real life, you know, things are crossed and everything is interconnected, so it's not systematically occurring in this order and in synchronicity, for example, like the mixing and color grading you can see at the end, which are not always on the same time and so on. But you have to reach all the steps and be aware of all these needed steps before you start to shoot your movie. At the first stage, when you are only thinking about it, you have to be aware of what it will take to go up to the end, to the final QC and exports we talked about on the schematic, and mainly to get your master, which will be the ended movie, finally, globally, color graded and so on, just to ensure you will be able to build a budget, build a workflow, a timeline to ensure everything will be smooth, and you hopefully will evite to go back and forth between all these stages because you are not correctly prepared, and you will lose time and, of course, money.
So to do, next slide, please. So you see all these steps, it's a workflow. And in order to build a workflow, we have to work together from the beginning. So I do really stress on and encourage each of you, when you have a project which is in development, contact your post house. You need this collaboration from the beginning. It's absolutely crucial. Because if you don't do so that's why the good practice is really the communication, the collaboration, the teamwork. You need your post from the beginning to make the right choices as per your creative objectives in terms of equipment, workflow, sound treatment, VFX, color grading, the style, what the feel, the mood of your films, how it should be. The only way to anticipate and plan for it, it's to work together from the beginning. And it's also the only way to have a realistic budget. Because when you're going to see the people that we saw earlier, the funders, it's not once it's done, you will say, 100K is missing. It's too late, my friend. Yes, it's too late. So, and afterwards, it will even cost you more. So more we are working together, so earlier the better. We have to work together, to draft together, to anticipate, to make the workflow, and to build up a proper budget. And also throughout your production, during the production, the post is there, even if you are on set. We are here. We are here to check your dailies, to comment, QC, for you to fix on set. To do some testing regarding some color treatment, your DOP on set should say, yes, no, the film director, no, it's not what I want. Maybe you may have a camera, the filters have not been properly set up. So if you have no one to alert you on this, at the end of the shooting, it's too late. We need to fix it during the process of the shooting. And this is where your post is there on daily basis with you to accompany you. And at the end of everything, as you know, we have to anticipate, we have to escalate, we have to be proactive. This is the only way to meet a deadline, a budget, and a result. What do I want? What are my expectations? And if you do some deals with the majors out there, you cannot be delayed. You have to, there is a release date. We need to meet some requirement. So all of this has to be planned. And it has to be planned with your post house. And we are there from the beginning. Next slide, please. I don't know if we're going to go to all the technical points. Next one, please. Because then we wanted to stress on, yeah, that's, or maybe we're going to share this PowerPoint, but it was like a checklist that you have all the questions you need to review with your post house, but we can even not read. We need to know, it was said earlier, who is your audience? Is it for a domestic market? Is it for international sales? What do you want to achieve in terms of artistic intent? Once again, the mood. We need to know, this is all the question. VFX, no VFX, VFX on set, VFX afterwards, the targeted pictures, you know, the targeted audience, all of these questions, the budget that is currently maybe pre-funded, that for us to finalize. All of this, do you have a post-production director on set? Maybe not. I mean, I've seen so many productions out there, they have no post-production directors on set. So how do we manage and cope with that? So all of these questions should be reviewed with us from the beginning. This is absolutely key. And this is how we can anticipate and ensure the final results. Next slide, please. Then it's going to be very technical, so you go fast.
I will try not to bother you with technical details, but to me, and I guess to you too, making a movie is, first of all, telling a good story. You may have the best story, the most impressive one in head. If the technical isn't at the correct level, it will break your idea. It won't let you express what you had in mind correctly. So technical is something you can't avoid to think about, especially at the very early stage, as Juliet stressed over, because there are many really computer and technical things problematic today, like having the correct format for the data, the color spaces, knowing the standards you may have to reach for video diffusion on some HDR channels, for example, or things like that. If this is something you don't think about at the early stage, maybe we can't do any magic in the post-production. The very known words like we fix it in post. Yes, of course, we are here to try to fix things, but we are not magicians. And also, it's also easier if we don't have to fix anything, but just achieve your story and just help you to bring the vision you had to the screen and to the sound. So this is really important to talk at the earliest stage possible, at the production stage, about what the vision is, what you want to be able to tell, how far could it go, what kind of channels could you reach, and so on. So we can together reflect at the best way and the best mixing between the technology you will have to employ to reach this goal and the budget you will have, and so on. There are many ways to make a film, many. But there are also many ways to go to the wrong way and get back in post and trying to fix things that could, I hope, have been avoided if it was thought in the earlier stage. So I won't go too deep into the standards and so on. That's not the goal here, but the message is really think about it and do not think you are only making an artistic thing, but this artistic vision you may have will require a strong technical, and hopefully at the end the technical would be forgotten. Nobody would see it if it's correctly done. But if it's not, everybody will hit it.
But the next one is the asset management. I don't know if we shall go through that. Yeah, you should have kept the mic. But it's also, once again, to stress on about the good practices. And the asset management starts with your dailies on set during the shooting. As I was saying earlier, you need to be in direct relationship and communication with your post house. We have to receive your rushes. We have to do pre-QC. But most importantly, I don't know if that happened to some of you. Have you ever lost rushes? This is a catastrophe. I mean, if you experience it, this is the worst that could happen. And that's where, as well, your post is there to back up your dailies. And you shall never, never delete any camera cards, memory cards, or your on-site server. You should never delete rushes before the post confirmed to you it's been backed up. So now we have backed it up. You can delete on your camera cards. We know how costly is it, the camera cards, right? So you cannot keep the cards throughout. I mean, you cannot have tons of cards for during all the shooting. So you need to delete the information on your cards. But for doing that, even if you have done your own backup, you wait your post to confirm it's been backed up. And usually what we do, we backed up 2 times, on LTO and on a server. That's super important. So that's part of the asset management. Because when we are losing footages, it's a drama and it's cost.
I will also add about the backup, that there is backup and backup. If you make a copy like anybody of us can do on Windows or on our Mac, copying something on a USB drive, you are not aware of what the copy is. If there is any corruption because a faulty cable or something like that, any bits that were not reflected as correctly as the original, if you never check the integrity of your copy, you don't have a copy. So this is also one of the important things. It's to know how to make it, and we're here to help. There are many solutions that are not really costly, just only a bit more time consuming, but it really needs it to be applied and to be used to ensure any copy you may have will be integrity verified and will be secure, will reflect exactly bit for bit the data you had at the source.
Yeah, and that's why working with your posts from the beginning, it's super important because we are the only one checking if the integrity has been guaranteed. We do it almost on a daily basis during the shooting. So it's also a way for you to fix it in case of any problem while you are still shooting. And after, regarding the assets management, so we are back about what are your objectives. And don't forget, this is your baby. This is your treasure. So how to safeguard it on a long-term basis for multiple users. So this is where your post house is also there to do all the export. Let's say you make a deal with Netflix. Netflix have very specific requirements that you might not be aware of. We are. So we are here to guide you through about, okay, this is the list of all the stuff that we're going to need. This is also the list of the equipment that you will need on set. Specific camera, mic, la 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 la. So all of this, we are here to make sure that at the end, everything's been kept in the required format. And once the export, it's also a way to package because we are here to deliver. You are making a deal with Showmax. Okay, you can maybe deliver something directly to Showmax, but we can also package as per Showmax guidelines and make sure that they are getting everything that is required and that you may not understand through the contract. Then you have the delivery, so as I said, and the last point is the archives and the storage. So once again, we are here to advise you and to, by the way, prepare for you all the files that are going to be required later on for a dubbing, for an international distribution, or let's say we were talking earlier about marketing. you know, all the footage that can be used later on for marketing, new trailers, to do a director cut or to do a new editing for markets such as China or I don't know, or Ethiopia. Let's say you sell to Ethiopia. You're going to have to re-edit because the censorship over there is far different than here. So, and you cannot do it if you have not kept your master properly. So this is where, as well, we are advising, doing the job for you, and making sure that it's properly done.
Yeah, it's especially about the deliveries, which is the end of the process, obviously. You have to take your post not only with the goal to get the movie you want at the end, but also to prepare every element, like international versions, stems for different separating sound effects and follies and things like that, for example, music and so on. Keep the element separated and archive it to ensure you will always be able to re-edit, make a director's cut, make a promo material. For example, when you had many years ago an exploitation on VHS and DVD or Blu-ray came in, the trend was to put some bonus material and so on. What to use to feed this bonus material if you don't have separated things? If you only have a ProRes of your movie, for example, with everything melted, you're very limited of what you can achieve with that. So while you are in post and while projects are live in the mixing stage for the sound and in the color grading suite, for example, ensure to make every declination you can, to ensure you will have the most possible, extensive material possible to permit the exploitation in the future, whatever the future will be, and we still don't know what it will be.
Yeah, we have to think far, long time. Our contents are precious. So next slide, please. And once again, at the end, what we want our contents to be seen, and we want our content to be sold. So we want to make money, and to make money, you need to get that, to have the proper materials to make that happen. So here is just that you may have heard, HD, UHD, 2K, 4K, DCP, IMF, XMCAM, XDHCAM, and so on and so forth, MO Matmos, Dolby Cinema, and my stems, and ADR, and post-synchro, and all of this. Oh la la, that's a jungle. It's a nightmare. But, and once again, this is why the post is there, is to properly advise and help you navigate with this technical jungle, and to make sure that you're going to make the right choice. Because once again, sometimes we don't need a super expensive camera on set according to what we want, the rendering we want. So this is all of these steps and this technical choice, leave it to your post, concentrate on your creativity. So here we are about a quick overview about the importance of the post. And if we can go to the next slide, please. So nowadays, just to tell you what's next regarding Digital Factory in Africa. So, of course, this is the number of films that Digital Factory works on, but there are so many more. And the post, image and sound, actually, Digital Factory is doing everything from A to Z. The only stuff that we are not doing is the VFX, but we do coordinate and work with a VFX partner. And I hope we'll work with Francis, by the way, from Ghana. So that's the list of what we do. Next slide, please. So as per today, we have studios in Belgium, France, and Morocco. So this is where our new opening in Africa is happening. So we are, as we speak, opening in Morocco. So once again, back to bring the post into Africa. It's a start to be in the continent, to start transferring knowledge, to build up the capacity within the continent, and to avoid going out there. So I would be more than happy to work with many of you, and to do your posts in Morocco. Morocco is also a place that provides incentive for post and technical work. So this is something that we have to take advantage of. Could you go to the next slide, please? Okay, this is what Morocco is providing. Next slide, please. No, sorry. Yeah, so this is, the next, yeah. So just to tell you, come to work with us in Morocco. It's a very glamour place. It's our first step in Africa. And we hope, we are planning over the next 2 years to open new facilities throughout the continent, but we have to start somewhere. Take advantage of the Moroccan rebates, incentive in the post. And keep in mind that we are the first African image and sound post-production house, in the sense that even when you go to South Africa at the moment, you have on one side your image, on the other side the sound. It's almost non-existent to have one facilities bringing together the entire chain. And when you are a film director, a DOP, a producer, it's good for you to come over, work with the team, go from one room to another. As you've seen in our cycle, sound and image are managed together in parallel. So when you are working on your film, it's super to work with a team where everybody is in the same room. Last point, this is something that is super important to me personally, but I guess also, of course, for the industry itself, is really to transfer knowledge. So we start with Morocco, as I said. We will open elsewhere. But if we do your post, I would very strongly invite you. Send over one of your tech, a video editor, your colorist. Send him over during the post-production that we are doing at Digital Factory Morocco. Like that, he can work on your content and embrace maybe new way of doing, and we can, in that way, transfer knowledge, share knowledge, and step by step empower our African talent and spread quality in post throughout the continent. So yeah, thank you. And the last slide, just for you to see where you could work, because it's very glamour. So, you know. Thank you. I don't know if there is a question.
Wow, thank you very much, Juliette, and thank you very much, Frederic. Wow, so this is a place in Morocco? Yep. Wow. Does he have to be the colorist? Can't the EP just come by himself? Or the lead actor? Does he have to be the colorist or the editor? Just the lead actor. Let the lead actor come. I like that Terex there, yeah. Good, you see? So the editor doesn't need to come. I like, who is occupying this one, the long terrace? That balcony is for us? Oh, I'm coming. Even if I'm not shooting any film, I'll just come. All right, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for them? I had, oh yes. Bikia. Oh, okay, it's not, the oh yes was not for me.
Fine.
Yeah.
So you don't have any excuse to miss this out.
But when you hitch the
We're
ride,
not done yet, bruv.
yeah,
We're not
done yet. But when you hitch the ride,
sorry, I don't know that
the ride
question.
is only to take you to that venue.
But you can't say
After
that.
the
He's not sure. Are you sure though?
I'm sure.
Okay, I'll just confirm, but please go downstairs. There's somebody downstairs to confirm
So
that.
that let's
I doubt
be clear.
if
We know how we do.
there might be a time, to be honest. There
Okay,
might be
for
a
return
time
journey.
for return journey.
Okay,
yes.
if that's the case, there's no
there
problem.
might be a time for return journey.
There's no problem.
All right, so
Fuel is 800 naira now. So I mean.
please let's not listen to this guy. So once again, I think that brings us to
the
V.
end. V.
Anything else?
We're
okay,
good.
so that brings us to the end of
Take 2.
Yes.
Of
Yes, and
Cap
Ikeja.
Hub,
The
Kula
Kula
Flyer,
Flyer
production
cinema.
is
Yeah.
Ogundana Street. Yeah.
Off
yeah.
Allen.
Off Allen, yes. Where you have Hip TV, just move further down. Yeah.
Well,
that's where
so
you
please,
have.
I think he wants you to sit
Sir.
down, the guy behind.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, so in the meantime, please post your
Sorry,
pictures
starts
and
what time?
tag.
What time?
I think it starts at 9 o'clock.
Okay,
It
same.
starts at 9
Same.
o'clock, yes. So I saw some pictures yesterday. Please put your pictures and tag NIFSummit.
Yeah.
They would always repost you, and please admit the hashtag NIFS2024.
Yeah, and then the people that are taking those pictures, you've just been snapping only Chinwe. Just said I should put it out there.
Oh, really?
You know yourself. And 2 of us now to do this work, but there's no problem.
Oh my
It's all
goodness. I haven't really seen my picture. You can't quote that. I haven't seen any picture.
I've been seeing, I've not seen myself, only you.
Oh,
only
okay.
you. Since.
Please take his picture.
Snap
Please take
me.
his picture. Snap
If
him.
not,
yes.
take the page down.
Yeah. So thank you so much,
Thank you so much,
everyone.
ladies
It's
and
been a
gentlemen.
fantastic experience, and I hope you got 1 or 2 connects. If you didn't, there's still.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I did. Funny enough. So if you didn't get, I'll be shocked. I hope you got a 1 or 2.
H-Wen-Wen. Yeah, continue.
Why are you Raz like this?
Don't you have an AKA?
I don't.
Okay,
actually.
AKA H-Wen-Wen.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
All right, and my name is Dan the Humorous.
Dan the
and,
Humorous.
Yeah, so Chinwe, see you this time
Peace
of
out.
next year, as that's how you want to live your life now.
Gentlemen, you think you've seen it all. You think you've heard it all. You think you've done it all. But this year's Nigeria International Film and TV Summit is going to blow your mind. It's going to be the jolt you need to inspire you to dig deeper into your bag of passion and love for the film and TV industry. So let's get down to the business of show business. Ladies and gentlemen, Welcome to the Nigeria International Film and TV Summit 2024.